Is it time for the Palm Pre to make a comeback? But if it did, how would it look like? It's hard to believe that it's been 17 years since the original Palm Pre came out and changed the entire smartphone landscape. Palm's last grasp had an impact on the industry that's perhaps completely unheard of, with the possible exception of the original iPhone, and even then, it is close. So let's list off some of the features that the phone and the webOS operating system that it came with introduced. It had gesture-based navigation, card-based multitasking, cloud-synced contacts, persistent and interactive notifications, united messaging. I could go on. And actually, I will. How about magnetic wireless charging over a decade before Apple introduced MagSafe on iPhones? Touch to share between phones and the webOS tablets. Messages that synced between devices as well. Phone calls that synced between phone and tablet. If we were to look at an iPhone or Android phone today, I would argue that it far more resembles the interface of a Palm Pre than they do an early iPhone or Android phone. But there's been something that I've been using lately that's made me yearn for the return of perhaps the least innovative part of the Palm Pre, and that is the sliding physical keyboard. Yeah, because using this very bulky Clicks Power keyboard with the iPhone 17 Pro has just reminded me of why the portrait slider is the peak hardware form factor for smartphones. Yep, even in the world of exciting but delicate folding screens, I believe that sliding keyboards are still superior. With this form factor, you can have your large portrait screen that fits in your pocket easily, and then when you need it, you can just slide it up and then begin typing. It is far nicer to type on this than it is to poke on a piece of glass. So where are the portrait slider phones of the moment? Unfortunately, they are nowhere to be found. I mean, yes, I am happy that the keyboard phone is making a comeback. And of course, I am happy that there are multiple brands taking on the challenge. But tell me why they all look the exact same. Take a look at these three, the Unihertz Titan 2 Elite, the Clicks Communicator, and now the freshly revealed Minimal Phone 2. All of these are small BlackBerry-style candy bar phones with 4-inch square screens and a keyboard underneath in a portrait fashion. In a world where every single app is made for a large portrait-shaped display, using these small square screens is really a little bit of a struggle. So let's have a look at what made the final Palm Pre, the Pre 3, so great, and what my perfect modern phone would look like. So firstly, let's take a look at the hardware and see why this is quite possibly one of the nicest pieces of mobile hardware ever. So as we can see, it carries a very similar vibe to the original Palm Pre, but it's upgraded in basically every single way. Where the original Pre had a fairly small 3.1-inch screen and was made of glossy plastic and had edges so sharp that they could cut through cheese, the Pre 3 was a far more refined product. On the front, we had a 3.58-inch touchscreen that was covered by a very slightly curved piece of glass that made swiping feel absolutely amazing. Underneath here, we had a gesture area with a small lights bar that I think looks pretty cool. On the front, we had a tiny VGA front camera for the very first time, and the entire phone was made of this lovely feeling soft touch plastic. Now, while I hate soft touch plastics as much as the next person, as they do degrade very quickly into a sticky mess, for some reason, it's not a problem here at all. After 15 long years, it still feels pretty fantastic. So while this was a slightly larger device than the original Palm Pre, the overall design is slightly thinner as well, at 16mm in thickness, but it feels a lot more slim than it sounds. It's quite possibly the most ergonomic feeling phone that I've ever held in my hand. It really feels like the perfect shape. And what's even better than that is that the build quality, even after all this time, feels rock solid. Unlike the original Pre, which had a very loose hinge, even when new, the Pre 3 had barely a wobble. There's no Oreo effect to it whatsoever. It's one of the firmest sliding mechanisms I've seen on any phone. The keyboard as well. Oh my god, did it feel so great. While it was still comparatively small compared to some other keyboards, the gummy texture with the great layout over here and really nice feedback, it means that at the time, I felt like it was the best feeling keyboard I had ever felt. And to this day, it still feels really good. It's an incredible upgrade over the very lackluster keyboard that we had on the original Pre. On the back of the phone, we had a 5-megapixel camera as well, with quite possibly the world's loudest autofocus, but it took okay looking photos that still hold up okay-ish today. But I do admit it's not the prettiest looking back in the world. The HP logo is coming off. They still hadn't fixed the distorted mirror on the back. It makes everyone look like a clown, just like the original Pre. However, while the hardware was lovely, it really was the software that made everyone fall in love with this phone. Because while webOS was a little bit rough when it first came out in 2009, I mean, on this original Pre, it was quite laggy, especially with only 256 megabytes of memory. By the time webOS 2.2 came out on the Pre 3, the software, while it did suffer from memory leaks, as for some reason they actually reduced the amount of RAM available on the Pre 3 as compared to the Pre 2, this overall interface was so good that it had people like me still salivating about it 15 years later. So the difference between webOS compared to modern operating systems that might take some of the ideas from Palm is the fact that you've got a clean desktop when you first turn the phone on, a little bit like your computer at home. And like with your desktop computer at home, you can open some apps to fill up the desktop and then you can organize them as you wish. For example, you can reorder them, and you can also stack them into stacks. You can open apps and organize them as you wish, just like you would with a Mac or PC. This means that you can create an experience that is personalized for your needs at the time. So quite often, for example, I might have all of my social media and my messaging open in one particular stack all organized together, and I can flick between them easily at will. In the next stack over, I might be working on, let's say, my high school essay with a few different Wikipedia tabs open, plus a word processor open at the same time. And then on the next stack after that, I could have a few games open. It basically allowed you to create a desktop that adapted to the way that you were working at the time, just like you would on your computer at home. And this all happened in a way that felt a lot slicker and more elegant than iOS, but also more powerful than Android Gingerbread. I think it was simply amazing back then. Now, when I was using the Clix Power Keyboard, it really reminded me just how good the Palm Pre was. So let's see what we could do today if we were to revive the Palm Pre. So firstly, the design. Well, I did love the 3.6-inch screen back then. Of late, I obviously have become used to far larger devices. And I think the ability to especially use split screen does mean that I would prefer a slightly larger display these days. So I think something around a 6-inch OLED screen, I think would strike quite a decent balance. And a similar aspect ratio to the iPhone 17 Pro as well, about 2:1. Naturally, webOS really pioneered the use of really rounded corners as well. I think it was the first OS to use these rounded corners. So I would love to see corners on the screen that are even more rounded than what we see on an iPhone to really exaggerate the pebble-like nature that I really want to express. Being 2026, I would also like to see a punch hole camera on the front as well. And the gesture area, well, we don't really need this anymore as it can all be integrated in the bottom bezel of the display. I would still really like to see a light bar where we can show different lighting effects and notifications. I think this could be achieved inside the OLED screen though. The overall design of the hardware though, I'm going to be a little bit controversial with this and say that I want to see glass on glass. I absolutely adored the original Palm Pre with its front to back glossy plastic. So let's try recreating this in glass. So on the front, I just want a single piece of curved glass covering the entire front sliding mechanism. And then on the back as well, I want to see curved glass again with an iPhone X style stainless steel frame separating the two as well. So now let's talk about the keyboard. Now, while I would love to see the return of the somewhat gummy keys, as these did feel pretty good, I would actually argue for something a tiny bit harder now, so that we can introduce a capacitive layer to the keyboard so you can scroll just like on a BlackBerry Key 2. Doing that with less friction would definitely be quite good. I do want to keep the layout, however, as I think that the Palm Pre's had the best layout of any keyboard. But maybe let's add a number row like what we saw on the Clicks Power keyboard, because I think that was really good to have, and we've got a little bit more space now. So now let's talk about the back. It's undeniable that we do love our triple cameras these days. So let's try to introduce these, but without the horrible camera bump that we see on modern phones. So let's keep with the pebble-like shape of the phone, but let's make the top slightly thicker so we can introduce a triple camera layout in sort of a gun barrel-like shape so that we can have this smooth camera switching. And let's also leave plenty of space for the big Palm logo as well, with inductive charging in the middle. And of course, we still want a mirror on the back too when you open the phone up. Now, I was a little bit tempted to put a second screen back here, which would be amazing for content creators, but I think it's probably a little bit unnecessary for most people. Now, the operating system. We probably don't want to fall into the trap of having barely any apps again, so what we are going to do is work with an Android-based operating system, but what we are going to do is switch things up a little. Gone is the home screen, gone are all the widgets. All you have is a clean wallpaper when you first boot the system up. And then we're going to bring back the deck of cards that you can stack and organize at will, and this will take the form of the main experience. We'll add split screen, of course, and the gestures that modern Android has is pretty much identical to what we had on webOS, so I love all that. And also, let's move the notifications from the top to the bottom, just like we had on webOS, so we can actually reach them. Now, do I want to keep the ripple when you touch the screen? I'm not entirely sure, but I think we can create a nicer looking effect these days, maybe sort of liquid glass-like, so why not? And maybe with a nice haptic touch too. Let's bring the ripple back. And also, let's bring back the control center that you get from swiping down from the top right-hand corner. But that's pretty similar to iOS these days. And what I loved about webOS is the fact that you got settings from swiping from the opposite side. So let's do that instead of having to dive into the settings app. Likewise, to activate Gemini, I think a swipe down from the middle, a little bit like what we've got on iOS, would be quite good. So activate your voice assistant by doing that, or even by pressing on the space bar. I think that could be quite nice. And yes, I would love to finally see a virtual keyboard on the first time on a pre-device, because at the moment you can only type with the physical keyboard. So I think a virtual keyboard would be great to have. So you don't need to slide up the keyboard every time you want to type. Internally, I think we need plenty of RAM. Unfortunately, that's going to be very expensive, but we're going to do it for all that multitasking that we're going to do. So let's give it 16 gigabytes of RAM, and also the latest flagship Snapdragon, the 8 Elite, whatever generation it would be over there. And of course, we need a big battery as well. So probably I would be hoping somewhere around 4,000 to 5,000 milliamps if we can fit that in. And of course, we are also buying the Palm name from whoever owns it now. We can't get the patents back from Qualcomm, I think. That might be expensive, but hopefully we can afford to get the name. And we are also going to be calling it the Palm Pre 4. Separate to this, we will also create a touch-only version with a stylus, because Samsung is abandoning styluses for some reason. We're going to call that the Pilot. We're going to get permission from the Pilot pen brand, and we're also going to create a QWERTY-style phone called the Treo. And there we go. That is how I would create my perfect phone, the Palm Pre 4 with its companions as well. So if you've got $1 billion to spare, and you don't mind wasting it all, that is my pitch to create the perfect phone and to make the world a better place. So thanks for watching this video, everyone. Let me know how you would create your perfect phone. Is it anything like this Palm Pre 4 that I've created, or is it something completely different? Let me know in the comments. Also, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. If you want to see my Clicks Power keyboard as well, the video that sort of inspired this video is going to be a link on the end screen as well. And on that note, I hope that you are having an amazing day, and toodaloo.